Welcome to Relationships Ain't Easy, and we're continuing our series on making a strong first impression. Why are we talking about first impressions? Well, here's the truth. I know this happened to me when I was growing up, when I was single, and I wanted a wife, I wanted to be in a relationship, and I just remember, for me at least, it would be these long stretches of being single. And, it wasn't until later that I figured out what was going on and what I was messing up on. But one of the things that I was messing up on was a strong first impression. So this whole series is talking about how to make a strong first impression. So I want to help all my brothers and sisters out there. The last episode was for all the ladies out there, and we talked about your hair, we talked about your makeup, and we talked about how that is an important part of your first impression and how to make a strong one. So today, I'm going to talk to the men. So we're going to do a little different. So I'm talking about the men's, we're talking about is your hair and your facial hair. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I want to give you guys some advice, some tips, again, how to make a strong first impression. Again, my heart on this is because I know there's people out there struggling with this. And I like to say that you're not ugly, you're just ignorant. And I'll say that again. You're not ugly, you're just ignorant. So that idea brought about this whole series. It is a lot of time people start thinking, and I know I fell into this trap when I was single, is that there must be something wrong with you. Because it's like you're trying, you're going out there, especially with guys, you may have finally worked up that courage to ask that girl for her Snapchat, Instagram, phone number, whatever. Ask her to go out with you. And you're just not having success. You're just not having success, and you're wondering what's going on. And it's easy to think that it must be something out of your control. And usually what it turns out to be is ultimately you think there's something wrong with you, like inherently wrong with you. You normally start thinking that, well, I must be ugly, because if I was extremely attractive, then all these girls would want me. But that's not necessarily the truth. A lot of times it's really just the things that we are doing or the things that we aren't doing. And it's funny because, and I talk about this more in depth in an earlier podcast, is we tend to focus on things that we don't even have control over. So it's like we think that it's because we're not tall enough for men, or for women, it's because we're too tall. It's, because we think it's the color of our eyes, the color of our hair, it might be our skin color. We might think it's because, I don't know, the shape of our nose, our toes, the fact that you don't have hair. So I understand what that's like. But what I've found out, and I've talked to many different people, and I'm just, once you live long enough and you watch things, you see these things. There is a person out there who prefers like the physical attributes and traits that you have. Like that's their preference. And I really believe God did that, and he made a variety, and he wanted to make sure that everybody had someone who, thought that they were beautiful. If you've got, what you consider a big nose, there's people out there who like that. If you got brown eyes, there's people out there who prefer brown eyes. If you've got blonde hair, there's people out there. I mean, let's be obvious. There's people out there who prefer blonde hair. But whatever, there's people out there that prefer that. So this series is to help you with the things that you can control. Your first impression is something you can control. You know what I'm saying? And the first impression obviously is important. People build their perception on you, either fair or unfairly, based off of your first impression. And now the last, you can go back again a few podcasts. You can go back a few podcasts before this, and then you will see I go through some different research that they've done, and your first impression can last, 3 to 4 months, or up to 3 months. So It's important. So again, this is something you have control over. This is not about how to game the system, how to make someone think you're something or someone that you're not. This is all about actually building habits to be a better version of yourself. Not learning again how to pretend to be someone else. But again, it's just being the best version of you. That's what I'm about here. God calls you, he wants you to do the best you can with the time, resources, money, etc. that you have. And so that's what I'm talking about. So today we're going to be talking about hair, and mostly facial hair. So I want to read a study, start this off real quick. Here we go. And this is a study. And again, this is just to kind of help the people who maybe they don't place a big importance on this, but let them understand that it is important. And here's why. And it's not just me saying this. They've actually done psychological studies on this. So let's read this study. So they did a study, and of course, this was with men, and they did different hair types. Oh, I'm sorry. This is with facial hair. Okay, they did facial hair, and they're trying to understand, when it comes to like a man's beard. And when it comes to a man's beard, what's the most attractive? How does that maybe change people's perceptions or, saying and whatnot? So what they found out was that men with, how do I say this, short stubble, for their hair, for their facial hair, that tended to be the most attractive. And you were the most, youthful, most attractive, and women had the best perception of you romantically. And actually, which was funny that they thought if a man had a longer beard, that he was more, what did they say? He was more like he was like a better father, or more trustworthy. But the person with the short stubble hair was the most attractive. They found him to be, the most attractive. So that's, again, just an example of how just changing how you have your facial hair can make a big difference on people's perception of you. Again, it's all about what do you have control over, and then controlling it. Putting in the time and work to do it. So men, we all have different types of hair. We all have different types of facial hair. So I'm going to give you some quick tips and some things that you can do. So first, since we were talking about beards, let's go on beards. So now that you know that most women find make a shorter beard and kind of like that stubble to be the most attractive, I just helped you out. You literally just go to the barber, tell them that, tell them you want it low, and there you go. You may have just went up 1 or 2 points, on a scale of 10, just because of that. So what I would say to men is you need to find something for your facial hair. You need to find out what works for you. Not everybody can grow, the full beard. And as you can see, I've got some patches, but it's okay. You grow it out when you figure out what works for you and your hairstyle. Again, if you're single and you want the best results, don't try to go with a really long beard. Try to keep it short. Try to keep it, it's kind of like clean shaven, but it's a stubble. And what you want to do is, if you need to grow that out, you need to, get on YouTube, figure out how to grow things out. You need to figure out how to shape that. You go to the barber. If you're like me, I cut my own hair. And so if you need to cut your own hair too, then you're going to have to learn how to do that, learn that skill. And then you just have to kind of learn maybe what fits your best, or what fits your face the best, because everyone's face is different shape. So, different lines are going to look differently on different faces. So you just need to figure out what yours is. And again, certain different ways that your hair may grow or it doesn't grow will kind of help that. But again, it's really just putting in the time to learn what strengths and weaknesses you have with your looks and then finding the hairstyle that works for that. And then I would say this to my men who are on a budget. If you can't go to, the barber once a week or whatever, then you need to get some clippers and learn how to at least keep it up. So at least if you go once a month, once every other week, whatever, you can kind of keep it up, once every, for me. And here's another thing. You need to know you need to know how your hair grows, how fast it grows. So for me, if I cut mine about once every 3 days, that's kind of pushing it, but I can kind of get by. I don't know. But again, if you're single and you need to kind of be on point as much as possible. So if you can't get your hair cut every week, or even if you do get it cut every week, I would probably at least touch it up during, like on a Wednesday or something if you go on Saturdays, whatever. So the other thing is your hair. And this is the same thing that it was for the women. You need to find a hairstyle that fits your personality and fits you, again, fits your head, fits your hair type. There's 4 different hair types, okay? You need to learn what hair type do you have. It goes from everything from completely straight to coily, like, you could have a fro. And you need to find a hairstyle that fits your hair type. You need to know how to take care of your hair, because people can, especially women, they can tell when your hair is being taken care of or not. And if it is being taken care of, it's always a plus. Okay? So learn your hair type. There's 4 different types. Again, go to YouTube, go to Google, and just figure out what your hair type is, and then figure out how to take care of it. Buy the products that you need. There's certain brushes that you should and shouldn't use for certain types of hair. There's a certain way you should dry it. There's a lot that goes into it. And again, it's not that you're ugly, it's that you're ignorant. There's all these little tricks and tips that if you don't know, it'll make you, when you compare yourself to someone who is doing it, it's kind of like a professional athlete. If you don't know that the professional athletes, getting massages all the time, has a nutritionalist, they have a personal trainer, they have a skills coach, and they're doing all this stuff. And if you don't know that and you compare yourself to them, it's it's an unfair comparison. It's like, well, of course, the professional is going to be better than you, and they've been doing it for longer. So it's the same thing with your hair. If you know these things and you know how to take care of them, it'll put you ahead of the game. You will look more attractive. Your first impressions will be stronger. And especially for dating apps, that is almost everything. Is basically your looks, and it's always going to be your face. And guess what? Your hair is on your face. It's on your, it's on top of your head. It's on your face. So they're going to see it, and they're going to know it. So that's what you need to take care of. So, kind of wrap this up real quick. You're going to take care of your beard. Studies show that if it's kind of short, stubbly, that's what women consider the most attractive, according to the study. You're going to find your hair type. You're going to find a hairstyle that looks good on you. You're going to have to try some different ones, okay? And here's another important thing. You need to have someone, I always say this, there should be someone with you along this journey, you finding your wife, men. And you should have someone you trust that you can talk to them. They want the best for you, but they will also tell you the truth. They're not going to, lie to you like these people who get up on these shows where they think they can sing only to embarrass themselves because nobody told them the truth. So you need someone to help you. So when they see these hairstyles, even before you get the hairstyle, maybe ask what would look good on you and figure that out. If you can get a girl to do it, that would be better. I mean, dudes still usually know what's a good haircut, but a girl would be better if you got a sister or any kind of friend that you can ask for that. Ask them. It'll make a big difference. So again, it's not that you're ugly, it's just that you're ignorant. And that ignorance doesn't mean stupid. That's just how we use it in our everyday language. But ignorance means that you lack knowledge in a particular subject. So you could be the world's leading physicist, but you would be ignorant when it comes to heart surgery. It doesn't mean you're stupid. So anyway, the same thing is, I want to help you have strong first impressions, because that'll go a long way in your dating life, and that'll help you get a first date. That'll help. A lot of people won't even get the first date, and then if you get your first date, if you make a good first impression, that'll help you continue making more dates. So that's the hope for this podcast, and that's what I want to do to help you guys. We're gonna have more. We're gonna go over more topics, but today was hair. Remember, know your hair type. Know how to take care of your hair. Have a good haircut. Keep it up. If you can't afford to pay, once a week, then you need to get some clippers, and then maybe you go once a month and you keep it up in between, or you go completely. But you have control over your first impressions. You don't have control over your height. You don't have control over your skin color, your eye color, whatever anything else that genetics gave you. But you have control over your first impressions. So take this advice. If you're not doing that, if you're not taking care of your hair, you don't know your hair type, make sure you do it. And if this has been helpful, leave me a like. I would love to hear what you think. Anything that's helped you in the past, how you've learned about your hair. If you've gone through something similar to me, where you realize that and then you start having more success with these first impressions. If you have any questions, put those in the comments. And like I said last time, if you know someone who needs this, someone who could use this information, please let them know. Please send this on to them and help them out. Now, this could be a little touchy subject, so maybe you don't just send it to them and be like, hey, man, you need to hear this because your hair, that may not go over as well as you think. And so maybe you just watch it with them, you know what I'm saying? But you can still send them a link, kind of explain to them, just be like, hey, I just found this out. None of us are really ugly. We're just ignorant. And we're focused on the wrong things. This dude was talking all about it. And here's some tips. And I think this will help you find that woman that you're trying to look for. So anyway, thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time.